The Iraq War was one of the most brutal conflicts of the 21st century. It began in March of 2003, when the United States and its coalition allies launched an invasion of Iraq. The goal was to remove Saddam Hussein from power and eliminate what were believed to be weapons of mass destruction. Within weeks, Baghdad fell. Saddam Hussein's government collapsed. But instead of ending the conflict, the fall of the Iraqi regime opened the door to something even more dangerous: an insurgency. Armed groups, militias, and foreign fighters began launching attacks across the country. Roadside bombs, sniper attacks, urban ambushes, entire cities became battlefields, and American troops suddenly found themselves fighting a very different kind of war. A war without clear front lines, a war where danger could appear on any street corner. Over the next several years, some cities in Iraq would witness extremely violent battles that would define the course of the conflict. Today we are looking at 5 of the deadliest and most intense battles of the Iraq War. Battles that reveal just how brutal modern urban warfare can be. Number 5. The Battle of Najaf. This battle erupted in August of 2004 in the holy city of Najaf. Najaf is one of the most sacred places in Shia Islam. Millions of pilgrims visit the city every year. At the center of Najaf stands the Imam Ali Shrine, one of the most important religious sites in the Muslim world. Because of this, fighting inside the city carried enormous political and religious risks. The conflict began when the Mahdi army, a powerful militia led by cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, rose up against coalition forces in the Iraqi government. Thousands of militia fighters spread throughout the city. They took positions in buildings, alleyways, and rooftops. U.S. Marines and Iraqi forces soon launched operations to regain control. The battle quickly turned into intense urban warfare. Snipers fired from rooftops. Rocket-propelled grenades struck military vehicles. Gunfire echoed through the narrow streets of the ancient city. The fighting moved dangerously close to the Imam Ali Shrine. Both sides knew that damaging the shrine could spark massive unrest across Iraq. For weeks, the battle continued. Marines had to move carefully through the city, clearing buildings and engaging fighters hiding in the shadows. Eventually, negotiations helped bring the fighting to an end. But the cost of the battle was high. More than 1,000 militia fighters were believed to have been killed. Dozens of civilians were also caught in the crossfire. The Battle of Najaf showed how complicated and dangerous the war in Iraq had become. Number 4. The First Battle of Fallujah. Fallujah would eventually become one of the most infamous cities of the Iraq War. But the first major battle there began in April of 2004. The spark for the battle came after a shocking and brutal incident. 4 American security contractors were ambushed by insurgents inside the city. They were killed, and their bodies were mutilated. The images spread quickly across the world. The event shocked the United States and triggered calls for a military response. Soon after, U.S. Marines launched an operation to retake the city, but Fallujah had already become a stronghold for insurgent fighters. Militants had fortified buildings. Snipers occupied rooftops. Improvised explosive devices were hidden along roads and intersections. When American troops pushed into the city, they were met with fierce resistance. Gun battles erupted in the streets. Explosions rocked the neighborhoods. The fighting became intense and chaotic. At the same time, reports of civilian casualties began to appear. International pressure mounted. Eventually, political leaders ordered a halt to the offensive. American forces withdrew from much of the city, but the insurgents remained, and the battle for Fallujah was far from over. Number 3. The Battle of Ramadi. By 2006, the city of Ramadi had become one of the most dangerous places in Iraq. Located in the Anbar province, Ramadi had effectively become the center of the insurgency. Al-Qaeda in Iraq controlled large portions of the city. American troops faced attacks almost every day. Snipers targeted patrols. Improvised explosive devices exploded along major roads. Ambushes were constant. U.S. Marines began building small fortified outposts across the city. These outposts allowed troops to maintain a permanent presence inside dangerous neighborhoods. But living in these positions was extremely risky. Every movement outside the walls could trigger an ambush. Every patrol could lead to a firefight. The battle for Ramadi lasted for months. Marines fought block by block, slowly pushing insurgent fighters out of key areas. Losses mounted on both sides. More than 80 American service members were killed during the fighting. Hundreds of insurgent fighters were also killed. Eventually, something unexpected began to change the situation. Local Sunni tribal leaders began turning against al-Qaeda. This alliance between American forces and local tribes became known as the Anbar Awakening, and it would play a major role in changing the course of the war. Number 2, the Second Battle of Fallujah. This battle began in November of 2004, and it would become the largest and bloodiest battle of the Iraq War. More than 13,000 American and coalition troops took part in the assault. Their mission was simple but extremely dangerous: capture the city and eliminate the insurgent stronghold inside. Before the attack began, many civilians fled Fallujah, but thousands of insurgent fighters remained behind. They prepared for a massive fight. Buildings were rigged with explosives. Snipers waited in hidden positions. Fighters prepared for brutal close-quarters combat. When the assault began, coalition forces advanced into the city from multiple directions. The fighting was intense. Soldiers had to clear buildings one by one, sometimes even room by room. Gunfire echoed constantly through the streets. Explosions shook entire blocks. Urban warfare like this is extremely dangerous. Every doorway could hide an enemy fighter. Every staircase could contain a trap. The battle lasted several weeks. In the end, coalition forces managed to capture the city, but the cost was enormous. 95 American soldiers were killed. 8 coalition troops also died. Estimates suggest that between 1,500 and 2,000 insurgents were killed. Large parts of Fallujah were left in ruins. The battle became one of the defining moments of the Iraq War. Number 1, the Battle for Ramadi. At the height of the insurgency, Ramadi was considered the most dangerous city in Iraq. Al-Qaeda in Iraq had effectively turned the city into its headquarters. American troops described the city as a constant battlefield. Every street could hide an ambush. Every building could conceal explosives. Every patrol carried the risk of deadly attack. U.S. Marines responded by building fortified positions across the city. These small bases allowed them to patrol constantly and slowly, push insurgent fighters out. The battle lasted for many months. Gunfights erupted daily. Snipers and roadside bombs continued to threaten every patrol. American forces slowly expanded their control block by block. The losses were heavy. More than 80 American service members were killed during the campaign. Hundreds of insurgent fighters were also killed in the fighting. Civilians suffered greatly as well. But by 2007, the situation began to change. Local tribes joined forces with coalition troops to drive al-Qaeda out of the city. This cooperation helped transform the security situation in Anbar province, and the Battle of Ramadi became one of the major turning points of the Iraq War. The Iraq War would continue for several more years. More than 4,400 American service members were killed. Hundreds of thousands of Iraqis also lost their lives during the conflict. The battles we covered today represent only a small part of that war, but they remain some of the most intense urban battles of the modern era, and their impact is still felt today. If you want more videos about military history and real stories from modern wars, consider subscribing to the channel. Because history is not just about the past. Sometimes it is about understanding the true cost of war. Of all American service members and civilians who lost their lives, their sacrifice will never be forgotten.